Press one. President Trump's comments about the protests during the national anthem sparked solidarity throughout the league yesterday. Steelers players took a team vote and waited in the tunnel during the anthem away from cameras. But offensive lineman Alejandro Villanueva chose to stand outside the tunnel away from his team with his hand over his heart during the anthem. Villanueva, who is a former Army Ranger and served in Afghanistan, was reportedly given an exemption during the team vote. But ESPN reported some Steeler players were surprised by the move, and James Harrison told PennLive.com, quote, "We thought we were all in attention with the same agreement, but I guess we weren't." Shannon, was Villanueva right or wrong?
I believe he was wrong in this situation, Skip. I believe he put his personal feelings and beliefs in front of that of the team. And this is a team. Now, what we know about the military asks a man to put his life, his or her life, in the hands of another man.
True.
When you go outside of that protocol, people's lives are at risk.
That is correct.
That's what Colonel Jessup said in A Few Good Men. Skip, if the team took a vote and they said, this is what we're going to do, although I understand that he served in the military, I commend him for his service, but this is a team. And the team said, this is what we're going to do. We criticize so many athletes when they put their goals, their views, their ideas in front of the team. Well, that's what he did. He said, forget what you guys said. This is what I'm going to do. And I believe in this instance, he was wrong. Because if the team voted, James Harrison leads me to believe that they had agreed as a team that we are going to stand in the tunnel. We are not coming out for the national anthem. And by saying, I thought we had a deal or we had an agreement, but I guess not, leads me to believe he's not on board with what this young man did. Skip, I believe he was wrong in this instance. Because once we decide, because remember, you said also, we were talking about this earlier in the year about should the Patriots go. And I said, well, if we take a vote, go to the White House.
Yep.
If we take a vote and the majority said, no, we're not going, we're not going.
Yep.
Well, they took a vote and the majority said, we're staying in. And he went off and did his own thing. In the words of the military, he went rogue. I disagree with him in this instance.
I'm with you on this as far as what I know so far.
Correct.
Villanueva did not speak to the media after the game. I hope he speaks today or
at some point,
Wednesday
yes,
or whenever.
Clear this up.
Just to clarify his feelings and what happened. Is it possible he felt in the team meeting they had on Saturday in Chicago at the away hotel, in which there was a lot of conversation, I'm sure a lot of voices were raised?
Yes.
Is it possible he felt he got sort of run over and steamrolled in that meeting? It would seem like you would want more than a majority vote. You'd want a something to nothing vote, right? Would he have voiced his disagreement with the way the team was moving? I don't know. But it's not, just to put him in perspective, I get where his heart would be on that.
Absolutely.
Because remember, he was born in Meridian, Mississippi, but he was a military kid, so he grew up in Rhode Island, Spain, and Belgium, because his father was a Spanish naval officer working for NATO. So he grew up in the military. He went to West Point. He became an Army Ranger, and he did not one or two. He did 3 tours of Afghanistan. And the first time was 12 months. And he wasn't just in the military. He was in combat.
Yeah.
He got awarded.
Infantry.
Yes. He was the leader of a rifle platoon.
Yeah.
And he was awarded the Bronze Star for heroism and valor in battle.
Correct.
So he was in it. And
he wasn't behind. In other words, he wasn't behind a desk.
He was not behind a desk. And he's an interesting kid because then he signed with the Eagles as a defensive end, and they ended up cutting him. But Mike Tomlin saw him in a preseason game, and he's like 6'9". He was like 250-ish then. And Mike Tomlin said, what an athlete. He played receiver at West Point, 6'9". And so Tomlin said, let's switch him to tackle. And who knew? He became their starting left tackle.
And what did I tell you? My coach told me. He said, if you get a defensive lineman that can't play defense, you put him on the offensive line.
Okay.
If you get a big offensive lineman that can't play, He's a big ass equipment manager.
He
You got
is,
nothing
I know.
for him to
Can't
do.
know where to go.
Exactly.
Well said. I agree. So he went from 6'9", 250 to 6'9", like 330.
Right.
And became not only just a starter, but their premier position left tackle.
Right.
And
Got a new contract.
He got a big contract. He got 4 years, $24 million. God bless him.
Yeah.
And yet, I'm with you. It didn't work for him to step out of the tunnel. If in fact you had all agreed, you had voted, whether majority or unanimously,
Right.
to do this as a team, to stay up in the tunnel until the anthem was done. And Mike Tomlin was clear, and I loved what Mike said after the game. I'm a big Tomlin fan. I always tell you, if I could have
Matter
ever
of fact,
played,
Mike.
Hey, he is, because if I could have played in the NFL the way you did, I would want to play for that man.
So would I.
Yeah. So his point was, I didn't invite this. You know, I got forced into this situation where everybody in my locker room, thanks to what got said on Friday night by the president of the greatest country in the world, the divisive comments, then everybody had to make a choice. Do I or do I not? But I love the flag, but I believe in Colin Kaepernick's cause. So how do we do this? And Mike Tomlin probably suggested, how about we don't do it?
Right.
How about we just stay up in the tunnel? At first I thought they just stayed in the locker room, but for time purposes, they were just ready to run out as soon as the fireworks.
Mike used the term, we got dragged into this bull dive.
He said that, and they did. And he, as a football coach, you can't love it. And I don't know if it had anything to do, because, listen, the Bears are a weird team. At home, they should have beaten the Falcons in the first week.
Could have easily.
And now they ran for 220 yards, and they did beat the Steelers.
Oh, but did you see that guy hustle at the end of the half?
Well, that didn't work.
Oh, did you see that guy hustle, Skip? I know a guy just last week, Joy, had an opportunity to hustle.
I want to point out, you're the one that brought up the Cowboys this time. This is on you.
I know a guy. I didn't call no name. I know a guy last week had 2 occasions. I saw a guy yesterday run 50, 60 yards. He could have stopped, and nobody would have said a word. What happened, Skip?
Well, the people closest to him chased him instead of the guy who had run a downfield pass pattern, who was completely past the play, who turned around and saw Chris Harris Jr. running the other way. And by the way, the same Chris Harris Jr. who plays for the Broncos, who then, after I told you they played their Super Bowl, then they go up to Buffalo and they lose to the Bills? Really?
They played terrible, Skip.
Yeah.
I mean, what you want me to say? They played terrible.
Okay, so back to what happened in Chicago, back to the real or unreal world. But the point is that the splitting of the team, you never know what to read psychologically into how the impact is, but maybe the Steelers were a little distracted.
Skip, it's like, put it like this. If I'm on a team and we say everybody's wearing fatigues or camouflage, you can't come show up in khakis. We agreed that we're wearing fatigues or camouflage. Don't come show up in khakis talking about, but you know, bro, I don't want to disrespect. No. What we agreed to, we are a team. And if you think about it, Skip, when teams, they always take the military mentality because it's all for one for all. Whatever we decide to do, that's what we're going to do. He went on his own. I get it. He was in the military. I commend him for his service. But in this situation, if the team decided that all of us, were going to wait in the tunnel while the national anthem is being played, that was the protocol that should have been followed.
Once again, this is also divisive. It's filtering into locker rooms and disrupting teams' ability to concentrate and win football games in the end.
Well, I mean, they only have one person to blame this weekend.
That's what I say. That's right.
So, you know, you can talk about how Colin Kaepernick started all this, but he did not call anyone who protested an SOB. So I just want to reiterate again, because this is a perfect example of how lost this whole message got. This is not about the military. It's not about the military. It's not about the flag. It's not about patriotism. It's not about disrespect for the country. That's all just a narrative to distract you from the original message that Colin Kaepernick was trying to get across. It's about equality and injustices that need to be addressed for people who have been harmed or killed, unarmed people of color. That's it. It's not about the flag. It's not about the military. It never was.
Skip, and the kneeling before the flag is not disrespectful. When you pray, what do, Skip? When you ask a woman to marry you, you get on a knee. Disrespect for the flag would be stepping on it, would be burning it, would be spitting on it. He did none of those things.
Hey,
so
I grew up in an era when a lot of white kids burned the flag.
during the Viet.
Yeah.
So can we stop this narrative? All we're asking as minorities is that America be who she said she would be on paper. We're asking the Stars and Stripes. Now, you say that flag represents so much. We ask that that flag represents all those things to everyone, regardless of their race, regardless of their religion, regardless of their gender. That's all we're asking that flag to represent. Not just that it represents that to you. And we ask, Dr. King said it, I just want America to be who she said she would be on paper.
Yep. Was Odell Beckham's celebration yesterday way out of line? We'll discuss that with Greg Jennings next.
Skip was thankful.
And I won't back down.